I was so into the film at that moment, and I was like, oh my god, how are they going to save her? Because Fahad is, handcuffed over there, and there's no way she's getting away with this now. And
Exactly.
as an audience, you're rooting for the protagonist and the hero, and you're wanting the villain to go down now. Shilpa is the most honest portrayal of a transgender I've seen in a long, long time, or probably in all the time of Indian cinema. Uh, I mean, she is humanized first of all, and we see why she's rejected by society. Welcome back, everyone, to Cinema Hall, and finally on public demand, Sneha is back. And, so is the Time Machine episode of the series. This time we are not doing a Malayalam film, we are doing a Tamil film in which Fahadh Faasil was there. You guessed it right. I mean, of course, it's a given that we are talking about Super Deluxe, one of the rare films where two of our favorites from different industries were together, Vijay Sethupathi and Fahad. Although they didn't have a scene together, they were part of different stories in the film. But still, I mean, to be able to experience both of them, show their magic on screen in the same movie, it was some experience. And I can't say enough how glad I am to have watched Super Deluxe. Although I did watch it quite late after it came out, I watched it this year in April or May, and I know it's 2 years too late, but I mean, better late than never. I read a little bit more about the director Tyagarajan Kumar Raja. His first film Aranya Kandam was a cult classic. I got to know, and it took him 8 years to make this next film. I mean, if this director is taking 8 years to make a film like Super Deluxe every time, I want mine waiting for another 8 years for him to come back with another amazing film. So, welcome Sneha on the podcast, and I believe Super Deluxe is your one of the favorite Tamil films of all time as well. Uh, your love for it is so much so that you have seen it multiple times. Uh, once, I mean, once was not enough, so you had to revisit it to find new things, new layers, and new nuances about the film. So, what's your first memory of the film? When was the first time you watched it, and what was your first impression?
So I watched it first, like I think probably like within a few days after it released on Netflix. So I had heard a lot about this movies because it was creating a lot of buzz in film festivals. So I really wanted to watch it in the theaters, but I don't remember if it released in Mumbai back then. So eventually I just thought, like one fine day I was like, oh, it has finally released on Netflix. Let's just watch it. And I saw it on my phone, and in that moment, all I could think was that, oh boy, I want to see it on a big screen. And maybe that's why I've revisited it a lot of times, because you need to watch this movie in a big screen to appreciate every element. And also, it's also very easy to miss out on very little things when you're watching it on a small screen, because there are so many details, not just I think in terms of the characters and their stories and everything, but also elements in the story, elements in a scene, the production design. It's very easy to miss things like that on a small screen. So that's why, and I think it's been quite some time that I've revisited this movie, but it's a really good film. And I think it's a very philosophical movie. That's what really hit me hard the first time that I watched it.
I'm sure when you saw it on phone for the first time, and then even having watched it, when you watched it again for the second time on a bigger screen, the experience would have still been almost as good as the first time, right? Because This is not the kind of film where it's like there is a uh, suspense, or there is a climax, or there's some sort of twist which will spoil the movie if you have watched it just once. This is one of those movies which is supposed to be experienced time and again, and it'll seem fresh to you every time. I am tempted to say this right now, but do you also believe this film offers a sort of a never seen before experience to the audience? Not just in Tamil, or not just in South Indian, but Indian cinema. I mean, this was something completely new and different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because like once you start watching it, it's an experience. Like watching this movie is an experience, because every story, and like the best part is, I don't know if you can really define this movie in terms of a genre,
Yeah.
because it has so much to offer. And like whenever someone asks me, to recommend a movie, like a South Indian movie, a Tamil movie, specifically when they ask me to suggest a Tamil movie, my first, the first movie that I go to is Super Deluxe, because it is something that you would have not seen before, experienced before. And I think I can say this, that it's like overall Indian cinema, maybe like you wouldn't have seen something like this in terms of cinematography and storytelling. And also, I think characterization, there were some pretty interesting characters and so many characters.
I think that stems down to the fact that there were four writers in the film: Kumar Raja, Miskin, Nalan Kumar Sami, and Neelan K. Sekar. So I hope I took their names right. And it's so amusing how Kumar Raja actually connects, all the themes and subjects, and it's it's like as if he was enjoying the fact that people cannot really predict one genre for this film. This film begins as a black comedy and ends like a dramedy. I mean, for people who don't know, dramedy, drama plus comedy. So it ends like a dramedy on life, sex, and spirituality and religion and everything. So I think that's probably one way of trying to describe the film, which is so much layered. So now coming back, I mean there are multiple stories and protagonists, and each one hold its own set of values and beliefs. So out of all the stories, which one was your favorite?
I think Gaji and the Boys. I really like that story. And actually, hard to pick, but yeah, like somewhere I could really feel the chaos in their story. And also like how it ended. It was a very interesting end. So yeah, I think their story was one of my favorite, and also I think it was a very funny story. It's it all like the movie also ended with their portion. They finally got to watch a movie on the big screen. So yeah, I think Gaji and the Boys, that was an interesting plot for me. And character wise, I think Raskutti, he has my heart.
Yes.
Like and not just as a child actor, but as an actor, so good, so amazing. Yeah, I think Rasukutti has my heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just uh, the innocence of the child or the cuteness of the child on screen, but also the character written by the writers. They have to you have to give it to them for writing such a role for a child like that, and that chemistry between Shilpa and Rasukutti, I think it surpassed the chemistry between Vembu and Mugil for me because even though you could argue that this was probably arguably Samantha's career best performance, but and even Fahadh Faasil as ever was subtle and effortless, but for some reason I think the organic quality of the bond between Rasukutti and Shilpa, that had everything. I mean, that had some fun moments. It had tears, and it has so much of innocence to it. So, what do you think makes that bond so natural and organic and innocent? why do you think they stood out of everyone else?
Um, I think because of Rasukutti and his simplicity to look at things.
Yeah.
So Shilpa's character was, I think it is appreciated more because I think I saw it from the point of view of Rasukutti.
Yeah.
For him, uh, he did not have any differentiation while looking at if it's his father, he's wearing a sari, he's not doing the typical things that a father should do. For him, it was just about his father coming back home. It was a story as simple as that, and it started with that and it also ended with that. The portion where they finally hug each other, it is so beautiful. So I think like just like Rasukutti, there's a lot of purity in the story as well. So I think that is what really caught my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that children will never judge the way an adult would. That's what makes it special and free of all the judgments.
If I can just add one more thing, like most of the movie, it deals with a lot of duality, like black and white and shades of things. Okay, everything has like two perspectives. I think Rasukuti was the only one who had like just one simple perspective, that I want to meet my father and want to spend time with him. So that's what really made me fall in love with him actually.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it actually, this film draws humor from places where you will never expect. Like, when Shilpa demonstrates how transgenders earn money to Rasukutti, and Rasukutti says, "Hey, super pani." So that, I mean, it cracked me up, and I still remember that scene. So, and if you look at film from a different perspective also, uh, it's like all characters in Super Deluxe are somewhat complex and layered and flawed, but you don't judge them for what they do, because the whole film is about nothing is right or wrong. It's all people's perspective. Something can be right for you and not for me. Something can be wrong for me and not for you. So it's at the end of the day, that's the message the film is trying to give, I guess. And you just simply enjoy everyone's journey, all the and people when they are coming together at the end of the film and everything is interjecting. You don't actually even realize that the film was 3 hours long, uh, and you never felt that the narration was patchy or it was uneven or something like that. And also it's kind of hard to guess who wrote which story. And at the end of the day, you don't even care because every story is so beautifully done. And Kumar Raja made sure that each story had substance of its own, value of its own, novelty of its own, and then they are put together in a very subtle way, in a very mature and professional way. I mean, only a very professional cinema, uh, a professional filmmaker can do that. An average filmmaker might not be able to say these things with so much of ease that this guy did. So now coming back to other stories, I mean, what about Fahad and Samantha's story? I mean, the film starts with such a bang that, I mean, I'm sure people would have seen the film, the fact that we are discussing this in 2021, so every audience would have seen it. So, I mean, their relationship, yes, Fahad was in love with her, but, she wasn't really happy with him. And so their relationship had also an interesting dynamic to it. So, what did you make of that chemistry?
I think it was very interesting. Also, both Samantha and Fahad are like solid actors. So to pair them up in a movie and pair them up in a movie where you already have such great actors, like not just Vijay Sethupathi but also Ramya Krishnan.
Yeah.
So to have like a proper story arc for them, I think it was very crucial. And they did have a very important
Yeah.
story arc right up till the end. I think right up until the TV falls. I think both of them would have nailed their performances in this. And yeah, and also I felt that all the stories had a very satisfying end, and satisfying end not just because they all fell into place, but also like if you just take them out and show them separately, all of them had very nice and satisfying endings.
Yeah, I mean,
Like they were unique, but also they were tied together with elements like cinematography elements and everything.
yeah, my favorite part was when, when they try to destroy that TV screen and then it falls off, and somehow they interlink the two stories, and that TV ended up being the savior for Samantha in that scene. So that was probably the twist of the film for me, because I was so into the film at that moment, and I was like, oh my god, how are they going to save her? Because Fahad is, handcuffed over there, and there's no way she's getting away with this now. And
Exactly.
as an audience, you're rooting for the the protagonist and the hero, and you're wanting the villain to go down now, and there's no goddamn way for her to get saved. And suddenly this screen comes in, and I mean, that was classic. You wouldn't have expected that for all money. uh,
Yeah, guy, like the cop was a complete psychopath. Like again, like great acting.
uh,
So like complete psychopath, not just in Samantha and Fahad's story, but also in Shilpa's story. So I think it was the curse of both the women that finally, destroyed him.
yeah. I mean, Shilpa, for me, that character written by these writers, it's the most honest portrayal. I mean, Shilpa is the most honest portrayal of a transgender I've seen in a long, long time, or probably in all the time of Indian cinema. Uh, I mean, you know, uh, she is humanized first of all, and we see why she's rejected by society. We empathize with her, at times when it comes to her sexuality, and she has to face all those hardships in the society, and we sense her helplessness as well. That was the impact of the portrayal by Vijay Sethupathi, and it also helped that Vijay Sethupathi chose to play this complicated and dark character. He brought a certain vulnerability, I felt, to the character, with the the voice he used, the subtle way of toning down his texture. And I mean, especially when Shilpa met Arbudam, that was they had some sort of a dynamic which is hard to explain. And so from there on, let's go to Arbudam and Leela's story. I mean, that role for me was probably Ramya Krishnan's boldest role for me so far. What were your thoughts about that? Because an actress like Ramya in a role like that, I'm sure some jaws were dropped.
I think I was kind of like Ramya Krishnan is an amazing actress. I'm really fond of her. So, like, and also I really liked her monologue towards the end that, like there's no wrong and right. It's just that, you have to do certain things at certain points in time. And again, like, I think somewhere, the story also started somewhere with her,
Hmm.
and then it lead like went on to a full circle. And also I never thought that their story, like Arpadam and Leela's story, would be connected.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for me. I was like, okay, wow, now this is interesting. Like this is like he's a preacher, like he's a god man, and his wife has worked in an adult film. So how do these stories come together? And the way it did, it was really interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in 3 hours, Kumar Raja touches upon so many aspects of life, be it sex, be it marriage, religion, philosophy, faith, gender inequality, even aliens. For
Yeah.
God's sake, aliens are in the film. Again, I felt, sorry, I said before that TV being thrown from, that was probably the twist. But aliens, who would have seen that coming? I mean,
Exactly.
nobody would have
And I
expected.
think that's I think the Gaji and the Boys wala story really fascinated me because usually with anthology, I won't really say this was an anthology though, but I never thought that they would add this element. I am not sure a lot of filmmakers or writers can pull off a storyline like this and so amazingly.
So yeah, I mean, all in all, I am so happy that we are talking about this film and bringing out the fan in us for everyone involved in the project, not just Kumar Raja, but everyone from actors to cinematographer to editor to even the music. There's no songs as such in the film, but still, I think Yuvan Shankar Raja has done the score, and he has used his father's, Ilaiyaraaja's iconic songs in bits and pieces. So yeah, I mean, I think the film uh, it taught us that life isn't just a chance of random meetings and coincidences. I think the film says we are all connected in one way or the other. I think there is one dialogue also in the film which I can remember. The subtitle said something like this, that whatever we do, it will impact somebody else in a very direct or an indirect way. So that's a beautiful message that the film is trying to give, and that's all we needed from the film. I mean, if after 3 hours we learn this and apply this in our lives, I mean, what else you want from a film? That's why films are made.
Yeah. I think we got way more than what we expected because I had not watched the trailer of the movie because I had seen posters and the posters seemed very interesting. So I thought no, I won't watch the trailer. I just want to go in with a blank slate, and I'm so glad I did that because every scene, every sequence, not just it looked like a painting, every sequence looked like a painting, but also it was so unique and unique yet also interconnected. So, yeah. And that's why it's nice to watch this movie again and again. You pick up on bits and pieces every time you watch it.
Yeah, because every story is so enjoyable, and not just stories, but even if you jump into the stories and pick out some sequences which are, so funny, like that dead body scene where, the guests are there and these two guys are trying to decode what to do with their dead body, and then that child appears out of nowhere and they have to bribe him, or, they have to scare him not to tell anyone. And then that other one where
He done with the screwdriver. I thought it was hilarious. He's just shouting and running. And like the first time he spots his mother, and he's just in so much shock. He's just running. And it was funny also. Like it had a very like bad ending, but still, I think it was hilarious the way they shot it.
yeah, but if I ask you, do you have any answers for the fact that why would they have named the film Super Deluxe?
I'm not sure actually.
It's a
Wow, that's an interesting question. I know. I
yeah.
never thought about it.
I mean, I saw somewhere that the film was supposed to be titled Anidhi Kadaigal. Kadaigal means tales, so tales moral
Yes.
story. So Anidhi Kadaigal. So I'm sure that was probably a better title, tale, because there are multiple tales in it. But I mean, Super Deluxe does sound fancier and has more
Yeah.
feeling to it. But what do you any reason that comes to your mind why would they have named it? Was there any reference in the film which we are missing? Anywhere Super Deluxe was written, a name of the hotel or anything at all?
I'm really not sure actually.
Okay, let's do one thing.
Was that, yeah.
Let's ask the audience, guys, if you understood why they named it Super Deluxe, write in the comments. And if you think that it was just random, I mean, it was just a cool title, and we are still okay with it. I mean, as long as the film is that damn good, who cares about title? Uh, but all in all, I think this is one of the best films to come out of Indian cinema in 21st century. If I put it like that, and if Super Deluxe is what you get from a filmmaker who has been absent for so long, then as I said before, you don't mind waiting for a few more years, when he comes up with his next one. So let's hope the wait is not that long. But yeah, great to see Vijay Sethupathi and Fahadh Faasil in the same film, and now they are coming back again in Vikram with Kamal Hassan. So that is going to be interesting. Fahadh Faasil and Tamil films. This is probably, I think this was his second Tamil film. Before that, he did a film with Shiva Karthikeyan. I'm forgetting the name of the film. Velikaran, I think that was the name of the film, where he played a negative character. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching. This was another Time Machine episode of one of our favorite films, and very much in demand film. You guys asked me in polls that please talk about Super Deluxe. What you feel about the film, write in the comments. And if you are new, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. If you are returning subscriber, then thank you for all the love and support in the recent months. Share the videos with your friends who are equally, into cinema and music. So yeah, and thankfully Sneha is here back again. So people who missed her, this is for you guys. Sneha, any messages for your followers?
Oh, okay. Thank you guys. I really appreciate your honesty in the comments. And yeah, like thanks a lot. Yep.